Well, everybody, Eddie Webb, and we are back here at the New Media Lab. We're talking with Victoria from IT, right?
Yes.
Is it IT?
CTS.
CTS, yeah. Project manager professional who manages a lot of projects here at Mesa Community College. And one of the things we were talking about is our online presence and how faculty have to behave, I guess, in online, and how students have to behave. We have handbooks about the classroom, about etiquette, and being a professional and responsibility of the faculty and the student. We're talking about how that bridges over now into administration, and how you're in meetings with large groups that all of a sudden this sort of dynamic is something that people need to pay attention to. So what kind of similarities do you think is happening between the faculty and the student and yourself as a project manager and staff and faculty, I guess?
Oh, that is a great question. I was recently thinking about that, where we have so many discussions about how faculty managing virtual classrooms, but we don't really pay attention that all of us in administration, so when we lead our meetings, so we're sort of faculty ourselves, because now we are managing large meetings where we have maybe up to 15, 20, 25 people at the same time. And as a project manager, I have those meetings quite often, but also sometimes I'm a member of those meetings when they're led by someone else. We currently don't really have any cultural, I guess, expectations for those meetings as well. And I'm not saying that we have to create something very strict or direct, but it's interesting. There are some parallels, right? We're so concerned about how we're managing our classroom, but how we're managing our administration side, which is also important, like how we create the courtesy in the meeting. So do we turn our camera off? Do we turn it on? How do we manage that everyone is present, everyone is listening? How often you've been in a meeting where you only see the little pictures or little bubbles with people's names, and you don't know, are they there? Are they listening? And we feel like it's impolite to ask them to turn on their camera because maybe they're at their home and they have some reasons not to turn on. Yeah, there's a lot of sensitive topics here, and I don't know what's wrong, what's right.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, especially this notion that, Maricopa is now using all of our homes as office space.
Yes.
Right?
So.
And what are those lines? I think that's a thing that's going to happen out of a lot of this, I've been using the chat bar a lot to have people say, just put a Y or an N in the chat bar, right? So just check in with me as we're talking. Do you understand? Are you writing this down? Or do you have any questions, right? So, because it is uncomfortable. In a large group, I won't ask people to turn their camera on, right? But I wanted them to check in, and that takes time off the clock a lot. You're waiting for people to check in, but it is interesting that you are now faced with these same sorts of dynamics. So when we get into the project management world itself, what is the most challenging part of being involved in project management?
Well, I would say depends the company you're working for and the culture of the company. So in project management, they say there are two understanding where you have a functional manager or you have a project manager who's actually managing teams. In our environment, the community college, so we have functional managers who actually they're responsible to put together teams to work on certain projects. And when you bring a project manager, you don't really have any authority for those team members. So basically, the functional manager will say, all right, so this is what we're working on. Please follow the project manager. And this is where the hard work begins, because you want to build those relationships. You want to motivate people to do something for you where they have no obligations so ever to do something for you. So I feel this is really important to build those relationships and find common grounds and common goals. What I found was really helpful for me when we get on the same page with the team and we have the same value for the project. So we know what our end goal is and we're getting there together. When you bring them to this mindset, so people just start respond to you easily and things start moving forward.
The projects that I've worked on, D from the district and Paul Hickey were my lead people in project management. And I love their efficiency. I love the fact that we can set goals and, achieve those goals, record those goals in terms of percentages. We're 80% here, we're 90% here. And then start color coding those out. I really, really like that whole process. And when you have a good manager, you can really move things forward.
The other important part is to plan. So sometimes we forget that planning is a very essential part. So we have a scope for the project, we have an idea, but often we just jump into execution without any planning and preparation for that. So this is what they teach you, project management. And I recently got my PMP certification. Actually, I got it this summer. So through this certification, you get the knowledge, what is the actual ideal world for a project manager. So planning is an essential part, which I would definitely bring to any project, I would say, with start, because it's important to lay out all your possible actions and look at all the possible people, all your stakeholders who can be involved, because sometimes it's better to find them early in the process, because if you find out that you're missing a person who has a say in this project later on, so it's going to cost you time and usually costs you money.
The other part I like about it here is the accountability measure.
Absolutely, right? Yes.
So that, I can't keep track of everything anymore. You know what I mean? There's too many moving parts. So when you have a good team, like this team here is just phenomenal. We record everything, every penny. I don't do that. I don't handle money because that's not my expertise. Is not in accounting. So I have a good accountant and they handle money, right?
Well, and that's usually the best way because you want to use your best traits for certain things. Don't do everything.
Yeah, this is where we came together and talked about learning space theory.
Okay.
It's important for people to understand learning spaces. That's almost become a profession in and of itself. If you look at this room now, like all of our tables are mobile. We can move things around. We can recreate so many different scenarios inside of one room. But you do need a room. This is the smallest room that's, was available, or the largest room or whatever. But with this one room, because everything has wheels on it now. And as you can see, we now we built a sound stage for a podcast.
Right, yes.
Right? We have a podcast studio out there, but because of COVID, it's way too small. So we just built our own sound stage. We're thinking of COVID, where we're separated by plexiglass, right? But when we're doing video production, all of this gets moved around.
So it's very ergonomic.
Very.
Yes.
Very. And, it was important because what limited budget we had. And so to work with people who understood this theory, like the first time they said to me, this chair over here is, going to cost us $1,000 or whatever. I was like, no way. I'm not spending $1,000 on a chair, or $500 on a chair. But then when they go, but you have to understand, it's going to be sat on over the next 3 to 5 years, 10,000 times or whatever, and
Right, so you can build projections and actually estimate your return on investment.
Exactly. Yeah. the other good thing about efficient project management is when you have a campus that has multiple departments, and even with us, as we're supposed to be making 10 of these new media labs, one on every campus across the district. It's, we can share, we save people a lot of ground who goes first, right? So we can share a lot of our assets and our mistakes and what vendors are efficient, all of that kind of stuff through here. And that's what we're really good at. I'm really proud of this stuff.
You're documenting your lessons learned.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So you're keeping track of, let's say, maybe risks that something that wrong, right? Maybe, so in ideal world, for project management, you plan for those risks. So you sit down with your team and you start evaluating what potential or possible risk may happen in this project. And you just brainstorm what possibly can go wrong. Then you take those risks and you prioritize them. So you put them in a certain, so what is the most dangerous risk? What is going to cost us like the most money? So you evaluate them. And after that, you even evaluate them further. So let's say the risk buying of a chair, right? And so it's going to cost us, let's say, $500 per chair. So what could possibly go wrong, let's say, with a chair? So will it break? Will it cost us too much, right? So, and you're trying to see what solutions will you take to prevent this risks. So in your early stages for planning, you're already assessing, am I going to deal with this risk? Am I just going to ignore it? Am I going to prepare an additional funding to support this risk? And then you start executing and moving forward. And then also down the road, you possibly may never happen those risks. Those risks may never ever happen, but you may run into something else. Right. And this is where the project management is really important because it saves you time. Because when you know approximately what may possibly go wrong, you're prepared for it.
Yeah. And so where do you find the balance between somebody, who's an innovator, a thought leader, artist, they have a vision and they have an idea, and then that energy is now stuck inside of this accounting, this very succinct project management practice, right? So have you had experiences where you find this balance, between the person that's doing innovation and the person that's being very practical? Does that ever come up in?
Are you referring to myself? Or,
yeah, sure. Or projects you've worked on, or?
Well, honestly, I would say each project is very creative. Every single project is a creation. Right. Because as long as usually when I work on projects, I have a sponsor who has a great idea to have something happen. And then, so I help them usually find a way how to make it happen. So I assess what teams we need to have, what resources we need. And I would say it's not the same every single time. So while through my career here as a project manager, I've never worked on the same project over and over again. So all my projects were very unique and very different. So I think this really allows me to express my creativity and my need to something fresh, creative, new, because I worked on the project to bring a Blackboard call center to enrollment services. So I was working with the vendor and enrollment services team to make sure that everything is aligned, and we have so that the vendor has everything they need, and the team is receiving assistance from the call center at the end of the day. So we worked on writing knowledge-based articles, creating process flows, how we actually do things, find a way how we train the other team at the call center in a different state. Then my other project was to work with the CTL, with Andrew Cajun, on recording a video for how the student get enrolled in college. So together with Enrollment Services, again, we wrote a script on how they, from very beginning, how the student decides to go to college and they come into MCC, and all the steps they need to take, like how they go to the welcome room, how they talk to an advisor. So we actually did the whole video production on that.
How'd that turn out?
It turned out really well. So it was well received, and it wasn't just a standalone project. It was part of the bigger project, which was actually creating enrollment services onboarding training. Probably now it's a little outdated because the campus is closed. So our students have totally different experience.
Yeah, we were approached by the district to make a PSA for the launching of the Maricopa app. And we let students write it, produce it, film it, edit it. Keegan did some animation, but it was their story to tell. And it was interesting because they also hired a professional company, and I never could understand why they wouldn't just give us all that money and let us have a real budget. We were just doing this on our dime, on students' time, which limited us a little bit, and but it came out okay, I think they did a really good job. It was a little frustrating at sometimes because we knew we could, if we were doing this as a professional job, we could maybe have done a little better, right? But I think the students did a really good job, and the experience they had doing it, I think, was really rewarding to watch. To see students being empowered to have their own voice, an institution that's trying to tell them how they should do stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, it also comes down to our resource availability. And I guess it's on both sides. Sometimes we have great ideas, but we don't have resources to execute it.
Right.
And as you say, we're using students. So like I've been building teams pretty much from different group of people who have other responsibilities. Sometimes they don't have time to work on my special project, and we don't have budgets sometimes to hire a vendor to support us on certain things.
When do you think a proper project management is necessary, and when is it not?
That is a good question to understand the overall, let's say, idea of project management. So technically the project, it has beginning, it has an end. So
ideally,
this is the definition of a project.
Right.
So everything what happens after that, this is your operations. So when you have a grand idea, so you set up a timeline and you have go live. This is basically your handoff. So you are created the project. So you created something, like you created the media lab, right?
Right.
So project stopped.
12-year period.
Wow. This is speaking of resources.
Right.
And now everything what happens here is operations. So technically you have other mini projects inside, like maybe bringing on a new projector or rearranging your room or starting something new here. But from the project manager perspective, project is ended and everything else, what happens here is an operational stage.
Right.
I feel like this is a mindset that not quite there yet, and maybe also project management profession is quite new to community colleges. I know not every college has this person in there as a staff member. So I would say it would be interesting to bring it a little bit, teach about this a little bit more, I guess, and show the value that people in my profession can bring to institution like ours.
Yeah, well, I know it's been very, very rewarding for me to be able to work with the project management team, keeping me on track, because when you're teaching lots of classes and, that in and of itself used to be enough. That was a full-time profession.
I can imagine, yes.
But now, more and more we're being asked to Now we're being asked to teach out of our homes, but we're asked to do a lot of committee work and to drive the college in a certain direction. It's essential to have a team. And for me, having a good team, I feel very fortunate that I was able to, in some ways, pick my team. And so we all worked together, and I did. I had some boundaries for everyone. Like, do we all have to be on the same team, and we have to be working towards the same goal?
Yes.
And all positive energy, and we would schedule time, because Paul Hickey and I have been working together. Paul used to be a student of mine years ago, and now he's my teacher. But we forget that we're such good friends, and have a long history together. We work together on projects just at Maricopa and projects outside of Maricopa. And him and I will sometimes be at the table and we forget, because we get into these intense arguments, and then we have to stop and realize everybody else in the room is like sitting back in their chair going, whoa, and then we go, oh, no, don't worry about it. This is how we do it. We're like brothers going at it,
Right, yes.
But it's just been so exciting to be a part of project management teams that are provided here at Mesa Community College. And I know that so many faculty appreciate your work.
Thank you.
And I think, it was one of the reasons we reached out to you for publication. I think all of us are very, very fortunate to have yourself and your other folks that you work with over in your department to be. Are you open to faculty or people just to have basic questions to reach out to you all, or how does that work?
You mean to reach out to us as a department, or?
Yeah, people in your staff or the folks that you work to reach, like if they have an idea, are you all welcoming to set up a meeting and discuss what the possibilities, or if what project management would be a good fit to what they're thinking, or
that
consultation, I guess.
I feel like it happens all the time. Maybe it happens at our director's level. So if a faculty member has an idea, so they usually go to our director.
Who's your director?
My direct manager is Chrissy Bullock. So she's a senior project manager.
Okay.
And then Alvin Bridges and Andrew Giddings. So they're the ones who oversee the department now, but they're directly reporting to Brad. So all the communications go through them first, and then they usually assess the project and assign it.
Yeah.
One of the projects I'm currently working is bringing iPad to the classroom. I don't know if you heard, we running a pilot. So we have about 4 departments. So it's math, reading, dance. So what we decided to offer, so we have a number of iPads that we give to students. So let's say we have a dance class, and we partner with Apple to support all the different apps that they may need. So we're going to make ask students to make short videos about their successes with laptop. But I guess the greatest success was for the dance community, because since we're all from home, so for them it was really challenging how they're going to share their dance practice, their dance routines. So they're going to use their phones. So they've been using iPad to record themselves, to share those recordings, to be able to do virtual sessions with other dancers in the class cohort, or taking special class trainings with special guests. So iPad for them was a game changer.
Yeah. That's exciting every time I hear somebody saying, yeah, we're making a video, because the iPad, this is our second round. We got them years and years ago, but with no support. It was like, here's an iPad, teach from it. But what do you mean? Where do I play? How can everybody else see my screen? Like early on, there was all of these things. And now this is what we're hoping for. And why we call the New Media Lab modernizing the written language. You know, this was our long-term goal. And Alvin's been a part of our team from the beginning. I mean, I can't tell you all of the stuff that we did, commandeering resources and stuff. But
well, this is really incredible.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have this grand vision for all this technology, how we can use it. Almost like you predicted kind of like a COVID situation where we will need to use it, and kind of pushed everyone's like, hey, we need to move this direction a little sooner, a little faster. So,
I think that, I mean, there was a team of us that could do, that had that value, because it's like, again, here's an iPad. Okay. If I don't know how to use it, and if I don't have the support, again, to me, they're just tools. Or people early on would say, well, what are you doing with a camera inside an English 101 class?
Right.
That should be over in photography. Right. And now people are starting to, right? You just described four different disciplines that are using videos in their everyday structure. Yeah. To me, that's just exciting. And what we hope to do is, with our thing here, is we're supporting students. Right? So you all are supporting faculty and staff, and we're hoping that more and more students come to the New Media Lab, and we help them produce all kinds of stuff, So I think it's a good partnership, and that, of course, is what it's all about, is being able to partner and wish other people success, And I know that if I'm committed to making other faculty and people successful in their innovation, then in return, I will be successful, And I think
absolutely,
it's a great community. Everybody, we are here at the New Media Lab talking to Victoria, project manager, throwing down her wisdom here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to our community. And
thank you for having me.
Do you have any parting words you'd like to say around any of this?
I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation for work that everyone is doing. And I'm excited to be part of this community and part of our organization. I'm looking forward to bringing more to the table, and I'm happy that students are able to learn new skills here at Media Lab and at MCC in general.
Thank you. All right, everybody, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcast. And as always, we want to remind you to take care of each other out there. In my dad's language, they say, "Donakoha'i, ski iliga, wada." Take care, and we'll see you again.